Bears lose 26-23 to the New Orleans Saints. I have some things to say about this game. I haven't done a game recap for any game yet this year. I might start doing that. If you guys like it, let me know, and I'll keep doing these game recaps if y'all want me to, because I know a lot of people are subscribed only for the Bears videos that I post, and that's fine. I completely understand that, but Bears have now lost, or no, never mind. So they lost in overtime to the Saints. The game started out really well for the Bears. They got punched in the mouth by the Rams last game. Couldn't move the ball on offense. After the first two drives, it was 2 field goals. Saints kicked a field goal, and the Bears kicked a field goal. So the offense was looking good. It's just they stalled out in the red zone. And that's what the Bears defense will do sometimes too. They'll kind of give up a few big plays, but they'll hold them. They'll hold their number one in the NFL in red zone TD percentage. And it really showed this game. They held the Saints to kick many field goals, including a kick later in the game where Will Lutz actually hit the post on a 27-yarder. The laces were actually held out by Thomas Morstead. I don't know if you've watched Ace Ventura. Laces out, or like they should be facing like the ball, or where, you know what I mean. Anyway, it was 3-3 in, I think, going into the second quarter, and Nick Foles finally with some time to throw. Has had none this entire. That was at least sort of the positive with Trubisky is, hey, he could run out and create and do stuff. Launches a bomb downfield to my boy out of Tulane. Love this guy. He's what? He's like 5'10", 5'11", not the tallest guy in the world, but he has burners and can kill you in the open field. Darnell Mooney with a huge catch over the top, putting the Bears in the red zone. And then I think the very next play, Allen Robinson on an out route. Foles lobs into the end zone, and a beautiful diving catch by Allen Robinson gives the Bears the lead. Pay that man his money. Pay him whatever he asks for, as long as it's within reason. Man, is he good. He's the catalyst that makes the offense go. He really is. The Bears will then, I think, get another field goal before halftime. So it's 13-3 going into half. Wait, no. The Saints have a bit of a drive going. They're at about the 40-yard line. I think it was Demetrius Harris tried a little. It was like one of these. It was like a little kind of zig route. And Kyle Fuller does not even touch him. This was funny to me. He does not even touch him. Breeze overthrows him, right? They call pass interference when he didn't even touch him. It's terrible. Face guarding is not a penalty. Refs, they've been terrible this year. Putting the Saints at the 12-yard line, and then Drew Brees finds Jared Cook in the end zone for a touchdown. So the refs grant they grant the Saints 7 points right before halftime. Anyway, Bears start with the ball to start the second half, and they do absolutely nothing. This has been the problem. They can't score in the third quarter. They've scored in 8 third quarters, so 8 quarters of football. That's 2 games worth of football. They've scored 7 points. That's not going to get it done. Not going to get it done. They didn't score in the third quarter again in this game. More on that later. Saints get a huge return for Demetrius Harris down into the red zone. What does the Bears defense do? They hold them to a field goal. I swear it's the only thing keeping the Bears in these games. So they force them to kick a field goal. So now the game's tied. And now the Javon Wims incident. So apparently earlier in the game, this is what Javon Wims said after the game. Apparently, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, right, spit in his face and, like, pulled his mouth guard off, which, like, that's nasty. It's COVID going on. What are you doing reaching people's mouths? But, so apparently that's what happened. And then I saw him do it to Anthony Miller. Like, he stuck his finger in his helmet. And if I'm Anthony Miller, if he sticks his finger, just bite it. Just bite it off. Just and just like a dog, just rip it off. That's what I would have done. Anyway, the next play, Allen Robinson gets like a 5-yard catch, which is one of the longest offensive plays of the day. I'm excited after every 5-yard play. Javon Wims comes up behind Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, grabs the chain, rips it off, and then just rocks him in the side of the head. He's got a helmet on, buddy, so that's not going to do much. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson just sitting there like, what's going on? And then he hits him again. So Chauncey Gardner-Johnson definitely got the worst of that exchange. But Javon Wims immediately gets taken to the ground by Janoris Jenkins and someone else. Teach him a lesson, dude. I don't care, right? I don't care if what Chauncey Gardner-Johnson did. You're hurting the team. You're hurting the team by doing that. Be the bigger man. Make it so they get penalties. Just don't. You can't be doing that. I mean, you can't. I mean, if you're down by a bunch or if you're up by a bunch, maybe. But no, you can't. You cannot be doing that. Now I know Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has a bit of a reputation for this stuff. I think he got into a fight with Michael Thomas at practice. So Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is definitely not an angel. I would consider giving him both suspensions, but Chauncey Gardner-Johnson won't get a suspension because it's always who throws the punch first. Javon Wims, the Bears should get rid of him. I mean, why? He doesn't help. What did he have? Like one catch this game? Or like, I mean, he never plays. It's always 3 wide receivers. It's always Robinson, Miller, and Mooney. He never plays hardly at all. Get rid of him. Get like a 5th-round pick for him. I mean, honestly, he's no good. He never gets used. And then, of course, so 2nd and 5 becomes 2nd and 20. And what happens next play? Foles throws a pick. Throws an interception. Just zapping the momentum from the team. I swear, man, it changed the momentum in the middle of this game. Saints kick a field goal, obviously, because the defense is like, what are we going to do? If I'm the defense, I want heads. I want heads after this game. Man, Bears defense should be calling the offense out after every game. Anyway, so then in the fourth quarter, it's more of the same. Bears keep punting, and then the Saints, they finally break through with a touchdown on a slant route to Taysom Hill, most overrated player in the NFL, by the way. They break through with a slant touchdown to Taysom Hill. It's 23-13. We're like, oh, game's over. But this is what I do have to give the Bears offense credit for. They show up in the clutch. They do. This team, I think they're number 1 in point differential in the fourth quarter. With like plus 55 or something like that. They're terrific in the clutch. So what do? They drive down with about 5 minutes to go, and they score a touchdown. I believe it was Mooney. Yeah, they hit Darnell Mooney on a little out route. They pick the Saints defense apart. It's 23-20. Now the defense needs a stop. And what do? You guessed it. They get a stop, and the Bears get the ball back. First play. They throw a little dump down to Cole Kmet, going nowhere. He catches it like 2 yards from the line of scrimmage, gets pushed back for 2 yards, and then fumbles the ball. All my friends who are Notre Dame fans are like, "Oh my God, you don't use Cole Kmet enough." I was like, "Well, he just cost the Bears the game." But they said his forward progress was stopped. A huge swing in the Bears' momentum. Maybe finally a call that goes the Bears' way. Anyway, the Bears defense proceeds to go with these little out routes, but then they didn't get anything after that Cole Kmet play. It was 4th and 8. What do? They find Anthony Miller wide open on a drag route, and they convert on 4th down. Later in the game, but then they get to about the 40-yard line, right outside of Cairo Santos' range, and then Foles gets, it's 3rd and 10, and it's 2nd and 10, and he gets sacked. Foles gets sacked. It was no time. Offensive line, revolving door. Just let anyone in. I mean, it was terrible. So now it's 3rd and 19. And Allen Robinson pulls down a huge catch on an out route. Perfect throw from Foles. Beautiful catch from Robinson, but they're still about a yard short of the first down. What do? They pick it up on a quick little throw over the middle to, I think, like Jimmy Graham. So now the Bears are within field goal range. Right? It was a 51-yarder from Cairo Santos from the Bears. Like, watching all these. Ever since Robbie Gould left, the Bears have had terrible kickers. Oh my God. Cody Parkey. The amount of times Connor Barth, Cody Parkey. Those are the main ones. Who else? Who else was terrible for the Bears? There's someone else I'm forgetting. Connor Barth and Cody Parkey are the main ones. But Eddie Pinheiro finally he's hurt. He missed a game winner last year. So now it's Cairo Santos. Drills a 51-yarder right down the middle. Nope, Sean Payton iced him before the snap. So now he's got to go do it again. What does he do? He does it again right down the middle. Eddie Pinheiro's not going to have a job when he becomes healthy. He won't have a job because Cairo Santos just took that. I mean, maybe Eddie Pinheiro because he's younger. But, man, Cairo Santos is a machine. I think he's 13 of 15 for field goals on the year. He's been has he been good. So, that pushes the game to overtime. The Saints win the toss. They, of course, are going to elect to receive. And I said, great, because the Bears are going to force a 3-and-out, and the Bears are going to kick a field goal. They don't force a 3-and-out. They let them drive to around midfield, but then they do force a punt. The Bears get it backed up at like the 10, and what happens? Foles takes a sack because the offensive line vanishes. They give the Saints the ball back, and then they eventually are going to, they get it at like the 50-yard line. They eventually just go with a few out routes. They're within Will Lutz's range. As time expires, up and in. It's good. And the Bears lose to the Saints. If you think the Bears are a bad team for losing to a defending divisional champ and perennial member in the playoffs by 3 in overtime, you've lost your mind, and there's no hope for you in this world if you think the Bears are a bad team. They're not a bad team. The offense is terrible. It's just terrible. They actually scored more points than I thought they would. On JT's channel, I said my final score prediction was 21-13 Bears. So they actually scored 2 more points than I thought they would. Good offenses are going to score. The Saints are a good offense, and they are going to get their points. And they got their points in this game. You have to be able to respond. Defense can win you championships, but offense is what wins you regular season games and gets you to the playoffs. Like, in the playoffs, it's very defensive-minded. It almost feels like a different sport in the playoffs. So, if the Bears can make the playoffs, I have confidence they can upset a Seattle or whoever that may be. Because it's just like the games are so defensive-oriented, but you got to get there first. And I think it's not Foles. Sure as hell ain't the wide receivers. Man, they are good. That is one thing the Bears. They have some underrated wide receivers, man. So it's not Foles. It's not the wide receivers. It's not David Montgomery, even though he hasn't had the stats I'd hope he was. It's the offensive line, man. It's the offensive line. It's just, if Foles has time to throw, someone's going to get open. He has no time to throw, I feel like. On the plays where he does have time to throw, he generally makes a good play down the field or something. It's just, there are so many times, and then they'll hand it off to Montgomery, and he's running into a brick wall. Like, every play. There were actually a few plays in this game where the offensive line actually did give him room to run, and he's galloping 30 yards down the field. I think he had 2 25-plus yard runs. So he actually had a good game. Patterson needs to get involved a little bit more, I think, in the running game, because he actually has a great ability to make people miss. But good offenses are going to score their points. Like the Saints scored 23 and then 3 in overtime. So good offenses are going to score. You have to have the ability to respond. And the Bears, they don't have much of that. The problem's going to arise for the Bears if they play a team that is dominant on one side of the ball. God forbid both. but like the Steelers. But it's the problems if they face a team that's dominant on one side of the ball, like the Saints. They are a dominant offensive team. They're gonna score their points. They don't really have a great defense, but the Bears' offense is just not going to be able to keep up with the Saints, no matter how many points no matter how great the defense plays, because good offenses are going to end up scoring points. The Rams, they are a dominant defensive team with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey and company. The Bears, their defense can only do so much. They can't hold them to 0 points the entire game. When the Bears, they're not going to score. When you have a dominant defense facing a piss poor offense, they're going to stop them, and no matter how, it's just, you see what I think you guys get the point. God forbid we play a team that's dominant on both sides of the ball. Oh Jesus, like the Chiefs, or the Steelers, or the Ravens, or it's a good thing they're all in the AFC. Don't have to worry about them. Good news is the Packers lost, so I do have a silver lining from today. I have confidence for the Bears versus Packers game, because the Packers, they cannot stop the run. They can't. Dalvin Cook rushed for 4. He had 3 rushing touchdowns, 163 rushing yards, and he caught like a 50-yard screen. Saved my fantasy team. Only reason I won this week. But the Packers are going to score their points. The Packers they will score their points. They are a great offensive team with, I don't know when Aaron Jones is going to be back, but Rodgers can do it all. So I think the Bears, they're the teams that they're in the wild card race with. Okay, they're a half game behind Green Bay for the division. They're fighting with San Francisco, Los Angeles, Arizona, and like those are the main ones. San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Arizona. Those are and the Saints, which this loss is gonna hurt because the Saints. Okay, so the good news for the Bears is 3 of those teams are gonna make it. Okay, if we're saying that Green Bay is gonna win the division, whoever from the NFC least is gonna make it. Who else? So we're saying that that Seattle's gonna win their division, and what other division am I missing? NFC South. Let's just say the Bucs are gonna win that, because they look like they're running away from this game. So that would mean that the Bears, Rams, Niners, Saints, and Cardinals are those 5 are fighting for 3 wild card spots. Now the good news is the Niners, Rams, and Cardinals, they all play each other. So those teams are going to start getting losses because they're all going to have to play each other. The Bears, they're at Tennessee next week. Don't know about that. But I'll probably be a loss. So 5-4. They have a very favorable schedule near the end of the year. Okay, they've got the Packers twice. I think they can win one of those. I think they play on the road, and I want to see week 11, and then they play them at home at Soldier Field in week 17. So hopefully, I'm pretty sure they can win one of those games, because the Packers, man, they looked bad yesterday against the Vikings. They looked bad against the Bucs. So I don't know about them. They're a very off and on team, but they are definitely a good team. Do not count out the Packers. They have a few games on their schedule that I think are guaranteed wins. The Lions again, the Vikings twice, maybe the Vikings twice. I don't know. Dalvin Cook's a tank, but the Bears, they've done a great job at stopping the run all year. I think those should be 2 easy wins. The Jaguars and the Texans, those are 2 guaranteed. They win one of those, or if they lose one of those, you'll see me mad. So that's, I think, 5 games that the Bears should win. Okay, that's 5 games they should win. If we're saying all they got to do, honestly, is beat the Packers once, because they've got those 5 wins coming. They got to beat Green Bay once. That's going to be the key. That would mean that would put them at 6. So that would put them at 11-5. It's doable, guys. It's doable. I still think they can make the playoffs. All they gotta do is beat Green Bay once. And they're probably not gonna do that, but we can hope. We can just hope. Focus up for Tennessee. Stop Derrick Henry. I hope. I hope they can stop Derrick Henry. Titans have a good defense, too, so this is going to be a good game. Just please, dude, please. I don't know, man. What's going to hurt them is they have losses to New Orleans and Los Angeles, so that would put them behind in a tiebreaker scenario. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. They got to do their part, man. Got to do their part. But we knew this middle stretch would be tough with Los Angeles, New Orleans, and the Titans back to back. I don't know who they play the week after that. I forgot. But the back end of the schedule is definitely going to be favorable, and I think they can make the playoffs. And if they make the playoffs, who knows? Titans made the AFC Championship game and had a 10-point lead with a 9-7 record. So you never know when it comes to playoff time. Remember, got Nick Foles.